misbehaved kids, now don't punish them. And they look at you and they say, only a wanker from the university could say such a thing, huh? What does he think he's saying? How can you not punish these very bad children? They deserve it. They've done terrible things. They've hurt people. They've destroyed stuff. What do you mean don't punish? And that's, you see this in the Age at the moment, by the way, that debate's running again. What do we do with the violence in the streets? What if those kids who are violent are really just Ds, some of them, getting even with the world, trying to hurt people because they've been hurt? Is hurting them further going to fix that? No, they'll just get smarter and bigger and stronger. And eventually we'll have to put them away forever. That doesn't mean the other solution is going to work really quickly. That's the problem. So this is where we're at with this problem. It's a serious problem. I mean, it's serious for them and it's serious for us. But this theory is one way of looking at it. It's not the only way. It's just one way of looking at it, but it's an interesting way. Now, this is all based, as you know, on multiple intelligences, right? You would have noticed that. Anyone who's sort of twigged would have said, yeah, linguistic, da-da-da-da-da, they're all there. Now, I would say there should be evidence that firstborns are better at linguistic, logical, sequential, like you, generally, because you aren't standard firstborns, you are firstborns, but you have chosen to go the path of academia, so that tells me something about you because you had the confidence to deal with words. That tells me, if you're secondborn, something about that firstborn too, possibly in some cases. Any secondborn who went into this field may have felt that weakness in the firstborn and took it over. Maybe. I'd have to sit and talk to you. But so these are the things that we've got now. And we know that it's not a fixed thing. You're not born with this. It's just a talent you develop. Some people like to think you're born with these intelligences. It's not true. You develop them. Your brain is a developing muscle. You can even do it now. You could now start, and we used to think it was over by 7, but now you know, by 25, maybe 30, you can still develop your brain, and with MRIs we'll demonstrate that more clearly, I think. Yes?
I'm not sure I really am comfortable with the way it's standing. Which argue the direction you go into genetic control? I mean, I know it's developing muscle work or working forward. Isn't the direction you take predetermined because of your DNA base?
I would say no. I would say it's more determined by your social setting and your siblings than anything else. Yeah. And I'm saying that if I did a poll of firstborns, they are going to be generally like this sort of, in general. The leaders of the world will be firstborns. In general. There are books written on this stuff, and if you look on birth order, you'll see. But you're right, there's got to be. I'm overselling, particularly. And I'm always aware of this when I do this, but it's fun. I enjoy overselling this theory because if it's got anything in it, we're in deep trouble. But let's assume it's not all, it doesn't matter. The fact is, if I find out that most of the kids who are suspended from normal families are secondborns, we'll have to explain that. And it may not be true. I've already looked through, it doesn't look like it is, so that part's going to be a problem. But it's something that you develop. And you may have even different learning styles in different areas. And it's not a theory really because they're not independent. And so we're not quite sure what to do with them, by the way. In my Masters of Teaching, when I take principals and I ask them, what do we do with these intelligences? Should we get everybody developed in all areas so they can have a full appreciation of the world? Or should we take those who are really good at these areas and develop them to the nth degree so that we can get the most out of them for the world? You do not get a coherent response. But that would be a question any schooling system's got to ask. What do we do if we think this is partially true? Are we involved in human engineering in the sense that we want the best skills developed in the community, in which case take the people with the potential and the talent and the position, the sort of the genetic background, if you like, whatever it is, and hone that skill, you know, get them to build the best bridges because they're already involved in logical sequential thinking, so make the most of it. So give them what they need. Or do we say, no, these people will never appreciate art. They won't have any aesthetics. They may have no social responsibility either. So we've got to broaden them. the moment we're moving into the broadening thing, which is what Melbourne University model's about and undergraduate sort of stuff like that is about, we're talking that people need to be broad in general. Social responsibility of science is high on the agenda, and all those sorts of things. Because if you focus them too much, they build atom bombs, you know. This is part of the thing you read in the literature. So you've got to have a general appreciation of life. I can find you many people who don't read novels or don't go to art galleries because they find no enjoyment there. Yep.
The resistance that I find with multiple intelligence is that, and I've seen in the school teacher,
yep.
So I've had this problem as well, is that yes, you know, we will let them do this and this and this, but, you know, I'm an English teacher, they still need to learn to do the essay.
Yeah.
Or we still need to prepare them for the outside world. That they can't do everything orally, but they have to be able to, you know, put together an application or a paper or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, look, I don't know any answers in this field other than to understand that this might explain something about these. That's all I'm going to use it for. Because if you got me into the general field of education, which is what I tend to do at uni, I'm sort of not convinced I know the answer to the previous question. Should we be honing up particular talents, or should we be broadening talents for people who don't have them? Because if we know the brain is at least malleable, we can do something about it while they're young. Even though the home life wouldn't create it straight off, we may be able to change that. I don't know.